Loops freaks me out, and I'm not good with acceptance. So I'll be in an endless cycle of panic.
You'd be in endless.
I would.
Your life now could be a loop.
The endless. Hold this. This was a great movie. I loved it.
If you could describe this movie in 2-3 words, how would you describe it?
Getting stuck in a mental loop. We humans tend to get stuck in many loops. For example, addictions and trauma. This reoccurring loop that we get stuck in it and we can't find our way out. Anxiety is a loop, mental loop.
I describe it as an illusion of free will. I think a simple way to describe the movie would be that there are two brothers. Initially, they were part of a cult, what we think they were, and then the older brother saves them both from the cult by involving the media and media attention to the cult. But after a while, after maybe 5, 6 years, 10 years, the younger brother starts regretting leaving the cult and wanted to go back. So the older brother takes him back voluntarily to show the younger brother that it's not what he remembers it to be. But during their visit, we are introduced to an entity that it seems, at first, you start questioning, even the older brother is like, yes, somebody's there, they're making these noises. And you start sort of thinking, come on, of course it's fake. But then you learn as you go through the movie, as you sort of move forward with the movie and with the brothers, that this is an entity that seems to be beyond comprehension.
We are questioning, is this a cult? Is this not a cult? And what we see instead is that people are behaving normally. We don't see at the beginning, we don't see any typical classic cult behaviors there. So when the brothers get there, there is this conversation, about this entity, and they just disregard it. And we also, as audience, we're like, yeah, whatever. Every cult believes in aliens and entities. But the interesting bit is not the actual entity that appears to exist. It's what happens after. It's the people in that cult, people in that environment, their reactions to this entity or alien. The entity has control over them in that environment, in that place, region. Apparently, the time restarts in that region, and if you happen to be there, you get stuck in a time loop. And these people who were in a cult as a group, they were stuck in it. Also, there were other people around it who were also stuck in it, but they wouldn't see each other. But what they had in common was that they were all in a time loop. So they would live a certain amount of time, it doesn't matter what they do. Eventually they get resetted and they start all over again.
Yes.
Now this is where the interesting psychological aspect of the movie was for me, was how they treated this loop. So we had the group we thought they were in a cult, living there. They were peacefully living there, they were enjoying it, they were together, they weren't questioning things too much, and they just accepted it. Now, the others who didn't have contact with this group, we see that they are struggling against this entity and this time loop, and they want to get out of it, and they're constantly trying to figure it out.
They're fighting,
and they're so against it, and even some of them, they unalive themselves, thinking that this will put an end to the loop, or at least they're saying no to the entity or to this time loop. Now, this reminds us of how we get stuck in loops, trauma, addiction, whatever it is when we as human beings, we are in a distressful state. We would do much better if we accept whatever is happening, and eventually we can actually come out of it. But when we start fighting, we add stress to whatever is going on, and we end up in a loop of fighting, stress, fight, fighting, stress, fight. I think this movie was an allegory or symbol for human anxiety, human addictions and trauma, and how we get stuck in the loop. And it just shows you, it's your attitude, it's what you do, how you respond to what you're going through, that determines whether you will get stuck in the loop or eventually you can make peace with it and eventually you come out of it.
I had a different take, although very similar take as
What?
yours. If I was to look at it from a psychological point of view, I would say it's about sense of autonomy, so sense of control over our bodies and what we do, and free will, or the illusion of free will. Now think about it. We may be in jobs or in our lives, we may be in stages where we are in loop. You go to work, come home, sleep. You go to work, come home, sleep. Every single day of the week, you do certain things, and it doesn't have to be work, it could be anything in your life. And that potentially could be the loop because you're doing it day in and day out. But that sense of free will that you think, when I go to work, there is a risk, for example, that I could get run over. There is a risk that I could lose my job. And it may not happen. And you've probably come across these people in your life where they're in a dead-end job for years and years, and they do the job still. I've seen those people. But they never question it. And because they think they have a sense of free will in there, they're okay with it. But if you tell those people that you've got to do the same job, same routine for the next 3 years in your life, they start panicking because then they think they don't have that sense of free will. I think there is a very deep philosophical question here. How much of a free will do we have in our lives? I think this is also about autonomy. Okay, so sense of control over our bodies. So you see, you mentioned when we watched the movie, people stuck in the loop. They start, some of them, not the group, the individual ones or the little groups, they unalive themselves. Okay, it's that sense of control. So if I cannot control anything external, I can control my body. I have control over myself, over my being. So I take my life. It's the illusion that even if you're in a loop, that you have control.
I don't know if the directors, if they see this or hear me, if they agree with it, but I think they do. I think they know that this movie was about acceptance. It was a very philosophical movie. Although you can just watch the movie and just think of it as a mind-bending sci-fi alien centered kind of movie, you might still enjoy it. But I think this movie has so much potential in its philosophical message. It's underappreciated, I believe. But I managed to buy the Blu-ray and add it to my movie collection. I have movies that have impacted me, only a few so far, and this is definitely one of them. Although there's Endless movie in there, the movie Endless, and also there's another movie called Resolution, which apparently you need to watch that one before you watch the Endless. But
we did it the other way around.
I didn't know, and I'm glad I did it because it had a good impact on me. The movie. I don't know if it had the same impact if I had watched Resolution before it, but I will watch Resolution soon. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't seen it. I look forward to it.
When we talk about acceptance, you see the group of people who are stuck in the loop. They don't mind it. In fact, they make vegetables. They eat their vegetables. They grow their vegetables. They make their own beer. They're making the best out of their situation.
Same event can happen to different people, and they could have vastly different experiences of it. For the same event, some people may look at it and actually enjoy it, and a different person could experience the same event and be totally terrified of it. Our thoughts and our beliefs has a lot of influence on how we experience life in general.
Which world would you want to be in? The world where they have the time loop and they never die, but that they live peacefully, or a world where...
Hell no! I don't want to be in a loop. No, I take the world that is not in a loop, because loops freaks me out, and I'm not good with acceptance. So I'll be in an endless cycle of panic.
You'd be in endless.
I would.
But if you think about it, again, that's what the movie is trying to tell us.
Yeah.
That even though your life now could be a loop,
Yes.
you start panicking now.
Yes. So this is why the movie is powerful.
But even if your life is in a loop now, you still like it more because you feel like you have a sense of free will.
Yes.
All right, and that concludes the review for today.
And that is that.